EZ, what's up, man? Another episode of Aftermath on the air. How you feeling?
What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. So we got another episode here today. Another great group. Well, it's like actually not just one guest, it's two guests. Okay, we're talking to the ZZ Talk podcast, Zino and Zeus, and I just want to say this from the outset that my PC that has the sounds on it decided that it wanted to do an update right when the show was about to start, and we've been having them waiting, and I'm like very irritated behind that because I pride myself on being punctual, and we've had them waiting, but that's okay because we're gonna go ahead and bring them in now. Go ahead and do that and bring in Zeus and Zino, and we have them here. So we're bringing in Zeus and Zino from the ZZ Talk podcast. I'm keeping all this into all of it, keeping it all in.
What's up, man?
All right. What's going on?
Come on, man.
It's going all right. How about you guys?
Hanging in, man. We're glad to have you on. Had a few growing pains. You know how this is since you've gotten into podcast and how.
Yeah.
Can you see my face?
Happen.
No, we can see a Z though.
Oh, what the hell is that? Hold on. Shit.
So, Zeus,
back.
let me know that you guys were Saints fans, so you know they had to rep.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's an old jersey. It's Freeman, so it doesn't.
Yeah, I saw it was Freeman, so I can respect that.
No, it's all good. What even did we lose Zeus?
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay.
He'll be back.
There we go.
So you said growing pains. Did you guys recently start?
There we go.
Well?
No, we just recently moved to YouTube, and it's always something or other. But we're gonna give you guys a burst of applause. That's way too loud.
I was like, what was that? Okay.
No, they got higher technology than we do, Zino. They got sound effects and guests and shit.
Right now, we're basically just Iron Man in the cave. Just
pretty much.
Okay.
Craps.
Now, for us, like usually the intro for us wouldn't be so clunky, but like I was explaining to Zeus that my PC that houses all the sounds decided, hey, it's a good time to do an update right now. Absolutely, right when we're about to start the show. That's fantastic. Let's do that right then.
Don't worry, that's happened to Zino too.
Like 4 a.m. Nah, we'll do 1 p.m.
But just to bring it in here real quick is that we're talking to the guys from the ZZ Talk podcast, Zino and Zeus. I guess the best way to explain them, and they'll do a good job explaining that, is that they're brand new to podcasting, and we just want to bring them in and allow people to get to know what you guys are doing, because I feel like what you guys are doing is great, and it's only going to build and go from there. So we just want to go ahead and get into it with you guys and get to know you a little bit better.
Appreciate it.
Also, I see what they did here, Easy. They got the
Yeah.
Falcons gear on.
Hold on 1 second.
He gonna go put on his shirt.
I told Zeus. I told Zeus yesterday. I was like, yeah, we want to formally get to know you guys and all that good stuff. Even though I've been knowing Zeus for a lot of years, but we wanted to get into talking, and I know that some shit talking is gonna come.
You only bring it out when you need to. And what makes this
your
is
how many of your co-hosts are oh, come on, why you gotta do that, man? That's just a low blow right
You know what?
That's just what makes it so special. It's
all right.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't just get those everywhere. You gotta earn that.
So,
but
fair enough.
We got 3/4 of a Super Bowl jersey though.
He said 3/4, but no.
3/4 of a Super Bowl jersey.
To answer your question though, Zeus, as far as like who are fans of the Falcons on our show, we have 2 Falcon fans. One of the other hosts doesn't really watch sports all like that, and then the other one of our hosts is a Denver Broncos fan.
Okay, so I like the two other ones.
Yeah, the 2 ladies on the show are big Falcons fans.
All right.
We overlook those flaws, and we're gonna overlook that as well.
Just to let you know, Ralph, I am gonna have to. I'm sorry. It's 16. I am gonna have to get you to explain that the one story where you said I gained your respect. You know what you're talking about too.
You know what? We can start. We'll start right there first. And this is how. I mean, Zeus and I were always cool, but on this day, a friendship was born. Okay, so it was the day after the Super Bowl collapse. All right, every Falcon fan is hanging their head. I'm in there, you know, I'm using old reference. I'm like Peter Pablo. I roll into work. I'm waving towels. I'm like, hey, what's wrong with you guys? Come on, let's go. And I see Zeus walk in, and this dude chest puffed out, Falcons from head to toe. I said, hey, hold on, man. I want to shake your hand because that is fandom right there. You said, I don't care whether we blew this lead or not. I'm a Falcon through and through, and whether we win or we lose, man, I'm a fan. I'm wearing my stuff today. I'm proud of what we did. I was like, you know what?
Letting people know I don't care. This guy, I'm still repping my city.
Man,
I said, this is my guy. That's his love right there. Yeah. And he truly is one of the Falcon fans that I could deal with because he's realistic. He's not like thumping his chest out all the time. He's like, look, man, when they good, he lets you know. When they bad, he's like, we're bad. And we've been, and I'm sure he would say the same thing about me with the Saints. I don't walk around like if we're bad, like, hey, we're this and this. I'm like, look, bro.
Yeah, no, I told him that last night when we were texting, he was like, yeah, you know, there's going to be a little shit talking. I was like, well, you know, Falcons are 1-5. We really don't got much shit talking to do. He was like, he straight up said, hey, the Saints are lighting the world on fire right now. So, you know, hey, that's realistic. You know,
the division is still in play, you know?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
But our 3-2 ain't the best 3-2, but I know we're going to get into sports and stuff. But what I would, you know, like I said, I want to do is get to know you guys, your story. And the hope is that from what I've seen from watching you guys podcast, that people who listen to our show will migrate over to you and vice versa. And that's the point of doing the mashup. So I wanted to start with my first question. Let's start with the origins and work our way forward if we can here. All right. So I'm gonna start with Zino, since I know Zeus pretty well, but I still want to get to know both of you guys' stories. So Zino, can you tell me how you guys met and how did this morph into, hey, you're cool. Okay, you're cool. We both like some of the same things. Let's do a podcast together.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite stories. So we have a mutual friend from Macon. I went to college with her, and we remained tight, you know, after college. And she told me that she had gotten engaged to this one guy, and so I was like, oh, cool, yeah. So I was like, let's meet up, let's celebrate. So it was me, her, and her friend. And then I was like, what are you doing for your bachelorette party? And then they were like, oh, we're going on a cruise. And then I laughed. I was like, wouldn't it be hilarious if I showed up on the cruise? And they laughed. They were like, haha, it would be hilarious. And then I left the dinner. I was like, yeah, I'm going to show up on that cruise. So so I called up my friend Dane, and I was like, yo, you want to go on a cruise? He's like, yeah, bet. So we went on the cruise. And the point of that story is because on the cruise was this friend of mine and her bridesmaids. And one of the bridesmaids is Zeus's wife. So at the wedding, after meeting all the bridesmaids and their husbands, one of them was Zeus. And that's where we first met. We talked a little at the wedding, but it was at another friend's house party.
Housewarming.
Yeah, housewarming party, yeah. That we really got into conversation and like, yeah, this dude's cool. So
how many years back are we talking about on this?
3 years? 4? Yeah.
2017. I know it was 2017. The reason I know it was 2017 is because my wife actually, 16, you know obviously about my twins. So my twins were born in 2017. They were in the NICU for 2 months. They came out of the NICU in May. In July, I took my family leave from my job. And that's when the cruise happened. So my wife has to go and leave her, her fresh out of the NICU babies because she had promised, she struggled with it. And I told her, I was like, look, just go ahead and go. You guys already bought the tickets. Yeah, just go ahead and go. Right. And then when she came back, she told me about, hey, yeah, there was these 2 guys that crashed the bachelorette party. And it was Zino and his friend Dane. And then, like you said, at the wedding is where we met, but we really didn't kick it much. One thing I will note, and Zino can attest to this, is one thing we realized is white boys really love the song Get Low. because they rap. I'm for real. They rap the whole. I didn't even know people knew the bars.
Related. Anything
Bro,
early
that's hilarious.
2000s,
Yes.
you can bet on a white guy's gonna know it verse for verse.
Yo, I didn't even know people knew the verses of Get Low. I just knew the chorus. I was like, yo, y'all know the whole all the bars. I was like, all right, cool. So anyways.
It's so funny you mentioned anything early 2000s because there's a bar in Athens, Georgia called 90s, 9 and then the letter D. But they play like late 90s, early 2000s music, and that's their jam. They love it. Yeah, they know the lyrics to everything.
I will never understand it ever. Between that and Flow Rider, I'll never understand.
Right.
They love them, man. But
it's hilarious.
But yeah, so then we met at the hash warming. At the hash warming is where me and him really got to kick it, right? And me and him were laughing. I was laughing because Zino was trying to holler at this really dumb chick, like no misogyny intended, but she really and Zino will attest she was dumb, but because she just crashed the housewarming party. But anyways, I was like, yo, this dude is real cool. So we became friends on Facebook or whatever, and that was in 2017. We never saw each other again. We actually haven't even seen each other again since then. Like
as far as I know, Zeus is only a torso.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
All we know is this of each other. Yeah. So it was like we were on Facebook. We realized that we both liked a lot of the same things. You know, he's huge into movies, into shows. We like the same kind of movies and the same type of shows. We're very opinionated. And then the one thing, because as the tagline on ZZ Talk is two regular guys who talk about everything and anything, you know, sports, pop culture, and a heavy dose of politics. We have a lot of opinion on politics, and I think the way that it was very organic how the podcast happened, because Zino did and he can kind of explain further about, he wrote an essay he put politics and Planet of the Apes together.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me dive into that real quick. So this was the weekend following the whole the George Floyd murder, right? Okay. And you know the country was burning. Not so much at that time, but it was getting there. And you know everyone wanted to have their hot take and put it out on Facebook and all that stuff. I'm always very cognizant about not putting out the wrong thing, because I feel like anything that's on the internet stays forever. So I was writing a lot and deleting a lot of what I would write. And then finally I was like, okay, look, I know movies. So I'm gonna express my thoughts on this from the perspective of a movie allegory. So even though, as I even wrote in the essay, using Planet of the Apes as an allegory is problematic, considering that Planet of the Apes is it has racist undertones, with the apes being subservient and then the regular, that kind of thing. Yep. So but I was basically writing it to calm down white people. To basically say, look, the reason why this revolution that you think is going to happen, and this whole thing of BLM being Marxist and they're trying to tear down your suburbs, why that's not going to happen is because there's enough of us that feel comfortable, even though we are having this internal strife with what's going on. Yeah. Enough of us that feel comfortable that we're not going to mess that up just to burn down your suburbs. So anyway, it goes deeper into some stuff, but Zeus saw that and it was like, he said we should do a podcast, which I thought was hilarious at the time. Yeah, and then a couple months later, here we are.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because I honestly, it was off the cuff. I told Zino, I was like, hey man, you should do a podcast. And he was like, I've always thought about doing a podcast. I was like, yo, me too. And then he just started throwing things to me about how to create a podcast. And I was like, oh, this dude is serious. Okay. So then we just a few months later, we just decided to record, and then next week we're gonna record our 10th episode. So it's been organic and it's been a fun journey, man.
No, man. Like I said again, definitely enjoy what you guys are putting together and seeing it grow and everything. And it kind of brings me into my next question, and I'm gonna toss it to my man EZ. So podcasts, they're all over the place. Everybody's like doing one. Everybody's doing a podcast. It's become a bit crowded. So what are the main things that make ZZ Talk like a show people need to listen to? Like if you're selling it to somebody who's never listened to your show before, and I say, you know what, Zino, Zeus, I'm looking for something to listen to. Why should I listen to you guys? What are you bringing to the table that's different?
Who's that question directed at?
Yeah, you said EZ.
No, I said Zino or Zeus. It might have just.
Oh,
You want to
You
take
wanna
that?
take that?
I'd love to know both of your feelings on that.
Okay, so I think the way we pitched it to each other, and like Zeus is saying, we're going back and forth with messages, and it kind of like manifested itself. The way we pitched it to each other is, it's the topic of the day or the topic of the week, but from the perspective of, you know, brown people, right? So the working title was Brown Paper Bag Podcast, BP squared. But then it didn't work because one, I tried to use a snippet of DJ Khaled's Brown Paper Bag for the intro, and YouTube copyright strike immediately. Damn it. So I was like, well, that doesn't work. So then we ended up, Zeus actually came up with ZZ Talk, because he was like workshopping some names,
yeah,
a lot of which did not work. And then he said, you know, ZZ Talk, like ZZ Top. I was like, I actually like that.
Yeah.
So that's how it came about. But yeah, so it's everyday topics, right? It's like two guys discussing, but from our perspective, right? From the perspective of, you know, Black and brown people. And we even see it in, like, you know, movies and TV shows where you can tell how certain groups and certain conversations are framed depending on the perspective, right? The perspective of a white guy, the perspective of a Black guy, Hispanic guy, so on and so forth. So we wanted to give that perspective. And that's the genesis of this.
Yeah. Yeah, so to go on the brown paper bag discussion, one of the things that Zino was saying was, like, you know, like a brown paper bag, you go to a grocery store, because that's one of the things we were saying. I was like, yeah, I don't want to just be about, you know, politics. I don't want to be just about pop culture. I was like, there's a lot of podcasts, and you guys are a lot like this too, where you guys touch different subjects, because it seems like what ends up happening is a lot of podcasts become centralized on just one type of thing, you know. You listen to one podcast, it's only politics. You listen to another podcast, it's only you know, shows, and it's only movies. And I was like, no, I like, because the thing is that we have opinions on all those things. And one of the main things that and this again happened organically, was that we wanted to talk about representation, right? Representation in the media, representation in politics, because not only are we Black and brown, but Zino is also, he's African. He was born in Nigeria, raised for some time in South Africa. Me, as most first-generation Mexican Americans, or any type of first-generation immigrants, I like to say that I'm immigrant adjacent, meaning that I know a lot of their struggles. I understand a lot of their struggles, so I can empathize with immigrants, and obviously it affects me because, you know, there's a lot of immigrants in my family, right? So it was just like, not only do we have the representation of Black and brown, but we also have the representation of immigrants. We have the representation of nationalities, you know? So the brown paper bag thing was like, you know, we're going to grab things from the produce side. We're going to grab things from the meat department. We're going to grab things from, you know, from stationery or whatever, you know, just different items. And we'll talk about different things, and we'll just give them our perspective. And the first episode honestly was just that organic. Like, I think, didn't we go in with not really knowing the topics we were going to talk? Actually, we never know about the topics we're going to talk about until we start. So you guys can tell us if that's how y'all do it. But when we start the day,
I feel bad. We do the same.
Okay. Just the day of, like the day I was like, hey, what do you want to talk about today? I was like, hey, this happened. All right, so let's talk about this. What's our top 5 going to be? We're talking about Ice Cube. All right, top 5 favorite rappers, you know? And that's just how a lot of the stuff ends up happening, you know?
We got a tiny bit better at that, EZ, because when we were just on radio before we migrated to YouTube, we did a little bit more planning. We were able to do planning within the show on radio, because we could take breaks and then kind of discuss things while we play music.
My point was, though, as long as you can have a fruitful conversation about a topic,
yes,
you really don't need that much planning, because, like, for us, you know, we'll have like 5 things on the lineup, and we might get through 2 or 3 of them because we just had such a great and in-depth conversation about those 1 to 3 topics. So that's why I was saying we really don't do, like, we plan, we have like an idea, like a blueprint of maybe which way we want to go, but we're not like hey, this is the lineup for tonight, like on a
Yeah.
like ESPN or something like that. Where,
Yeah, there's no show run sheet in that aspect. So just again, we're talking to the fellas from ZZ Talk Podcast, got Zeus and Zino. Make sure you search them out on YouTube. Search for ZZ Talk and also ZZ Talk Features. There's a lot of Z's going around. EZ, what you got for the guys from ZZ Talk, man?
Yes, we do love the letter Z today. But I heard you guys mention that y'all like talking about politics, and as my brother knows, I love politics. Between sports, current events, and politics, like I'm here for it. So I'm very interested to know you guys' opinion on how do you think the election's going to turn out, and also two, I'm assuming both of you guys live in Georgia, chances that Georgia could actually go the other way.
So, I'll take that one. So very early on in the
first episode,
actually first episode, which I thought the first episode was really good, except you can't hear anything from my end because I had super bad audio. But the first episode, one of the first things we said was that one of the first things I said was that I think Georgia's going to be in play, and Zeus said he thinks Texas is more likely to be in play, which I thought was ridiculous. So
two red states, man. That's two red, predominantly red
states.
states.
But
I think. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, but I saw the progression there, right? 2016, not so much, but 2018, that gubernatorial race between Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp was so close, despite the fact that Brian Kemp was the Secretary of State and did all these things to suppress the vote.
The definition of collusion. I didn't live in Georgia at the time. I was in Tennessee. I have no idea how y'all let that happen.
Yeah, it was a national story because of how just corrupt it was. So I was telling him, man, like it's getting there, And then Lucy McBath winning in the Georgia in Marietta, which is where I am actually.
Okay.
She won over here, which is like unheard of because Marietta has been, I think, red for like the last 30 plus years. I was like, Zeus, man, something's happening.
And I'm over here. I do not trust these hillbillies and freaking butt fuck Georgia, but slowly over time, I've been seeing things, and then
are we allowed to curse?
Yes,
you say whatever you want.
Okay.
Say whatever you want.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize. I just
did it again.
This
no, you good.
No. This. I was gonna say this side of the internet is uncensored, so
all right, cool.
Y'all can say whatever you want.
So one thing you'll notice is I'm very progressive in my politics, right? I'm very progressive in my politics. Zino, he says he's not centrist. You said you're more left of center. Is that what you said, Z?
Yeah, I'm center left. I mean, even in the primaries, I was supporting Elizabeth Warren, who isn't, moderate, but she's not Bernie, I guess. So
yeah. So anyways, I'm Bernie on this shit. So I was like, I do not trust that Georgia will be, but slowly it's been so much to the point that honestly, I wasn't even going to vote for Biden. But because I was one of those people that just thinks like, look, we need to allow a third party to get 5% to get, to be able to get financial funding. But I was like, Georgia's so much up in the air that I was like, shit, I can't give some of these people the BS notion that me voting for Hawkins is a vote for Trump and all that crap. So I was like, all right, I'm not even gonna give you all that material to play with. I voted for Biden because honestly, it is up in the air right now. I don't think it'll ever be. We're never gonna have a Bernie Sanders winning governor in Georgia, but we could definitely have a Democrat apparently now.
They let Roy Barnes slip through years ago, so you just
So and then that John Ossoff race right now is very up in the air. So. It's a lot of...
Yeah, that's what I was asking because, it's tight all the way around. You look at both Senate races, you look at, the presidential race, they all seem on paper to be very close.
Yeah.
And to me, I didn't realize how big the state of Georgia was. I didn't realize there was over 10 million people living in Georgia. Like, I thought it was Atlanta, and then everything else is just like, 3 million.
8 million of those people live in Atlanta.
That's what I'm saying. So... you look at these states like Texas and Georgia, like you got a heavy mix of rural and these big ass cities that are just very liberal. Yeah. And it's like, if if 3/4 of those cities, you know, turn up, you could really like win the election, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just intrigued by Georgia because, like, to Zeno's point, or one of y'all had said it, like, I never thought I'd really see the day that would happen. But, you know, you look at Atlanta, you look at, you know, Albany down south, like around that area, it really could happen. And that's
I think the contributing factor, and I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast, was, you know, but the contributing factor is you got to think about before, back in the day, Atlanta was like this, right? Metro Atlanta was just Atlanta. But then slowly it's gotten bigger because now Metro Atlanta, technically, with all the amount of people that keep pushing out, that can include Gwinnett. That can start including Marietta. That can start including like going further south, further north. You know, it's just expanding. And then you have places like Augusta that's starting to grow. You have places like Savannah that's starting to get bigger. Even though if any of you have been to Savannah for a long time, you'll notice that Savannah is still very red. But we're a transplant city. Right, Atlanta's a transplant city, but then what's happening is a lot of businesses are blowing up and moving to further out, you know, further away from the airport and all that stuff. So people are moving. So you're getting a lot of people coming from different cities coming in. They're starting to bring in their politics, and their politics might be blue. And then it's just we're also a heavily minority run city now, right? So it's just like we just know that we can vote blue now. So a lot of us are. And then one of the things that we talk about is our early voting experience this week. In episode 9, and we realized like there's a lot more people coming out to vote now.
Yeah.
Just because the vote is so contentious.
And to your point about Atlanta no longer being just that, you know, small center, but it's like growing. You can even see it in the Atlanta Braves moving their stadium to Cobb County.
To their fan base.
Yeah,
closer to their fan base.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was living a mile from the stadium, and I would like I actually bought season tickets, but like the standing room only, so it's like $3 a game. Baseball is so cheap, so I could just
very much so. Very much so.
So yeah, it's expanding. Zeus completely spot on with that. It's like now, and with all the people coming in from Hollywood to make movies here and all that stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
that liberal influence.
Atlanta really is a transplant city. I mean, me and 16 are examples of it. And there's just a lot of people that aren't from here that live here. Yep. You know, people from the Northeast that don't want to pay, you know, $2,800 for rent in New York. They can pay $1,800 here and, you know, still get the big city feel and everything like that. My other question was, you know, 2016 was definitely a shock in some ways. I personally feel like the Biden group has looked at everything Hillary Clinton messed up and said, you know what, you know, we're gonna right the wrongs of all of this. So what would Joe Biden have to do over the next 2 weeks, or what would have to happen for him to lose this election or screw it up?
Okay. You want to go, Zeus, or you want to take it?
I was just gonna say, honestly, the only thing that Biden needs to do is don't become polarizing to a lot of people who are voting for you. Just that's one. Honestly, that's the thing that the reason I knew Hillary was going to lose about 3 weeks before the election happened, because it was just one of those things where there was a lot of people who didn't want her. I've always pointed out to the fact that you could look at each group and see that there was probably something that each of them didn't like about her, not misogynistic. More because that's a lot of things that a lot of people like to. I think that's a weak argument, honestly, to say that misogyny might have had a contributing factor to it, but it wasn't the biggest contributing factor, right? It wasn't. If misogyny had anything to do with it, it was about like maybe like 20% versus there was other things that people didn't like about her.
To your point, a lot of people weren't in love with her.
No,
like you know, it's 2016. Trump people, they love that man. You couldn't tell them nothing. They had the signs in the yard. You know, they was at the rallies. And a lot of people that were voting for Clinton, including myself, were like, yeah, I like Bernie better, but yeah.
All right. Here you go, Hillary. Take my damn vote, you know?
Yeah, like.
I said this before, though. You can't ever in your life underestimate when white people get, like, when they feel cornered on something. The racist white people, I should say. Not all. Yeah. But there's no way in the world following a black man for 8 years that they were going to vote in a woman. It just wasn't happening. They're like,
that's a good point.
Way. The radical, far right was not going to be there for that. It wasn't happening.
And one thing I would say is the one thing that, say for example, like you said, EZ, you didn't like her, right? Maybe I didn't like her. You could look at different things because the one thing about her is she was very polarizing. I always said that one of the biggest factors I think that that the black community didn't like her was because of the way she treated Obama in the primary back in 2008. You know, a lot of people didn't like her. You know, basically, you know, they I felt a lot of people thought it was like a little bit of a personal attack to him being black. You know, just like, oh, yo, like why you waiting for the primaries to?
A lot of people felt like she took the black community for granted because of her husband.
Yeah.
You know,
and the one thing I said is like she pointed out the whole I'm waiting for, you never know, RFK, you know, how he got killed in the primaries, like she said stuff like that, and it was just like one of the things that, and then also just like one of the things that me and Zino talked a lot about is the whole big tent, right? The Democratic Party has a bigger tent that they have to fill up. You have far left, center right, center, whereas the Republicans. Look at Graham, McConnell. Who else talked bad about Trump? All these Republicans that talk bad about Trump.
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz. Yeah.
He talked about his wife. But as soon as Trump has the nomination, they lined up. That didn't happen in the Democratic Party. You don't line up. That's one of the things, the biggest contributing factor is that big tent. So as long as Joe Biden doesn't move away from trying to appease each person as much as he can, he should win.
So I want to talk about what Biden can do to lose, but first I want to address the Hillary Clinton thing. I think the core reason of why she lost, two reasons. One, the Republicans had upper research on her that dates back to her being first lady, right? Absolutely. And actually, if you look at the approval ratings from like the early 2000s when she was elected to the Senate from New York, she had high approval ratings within the Senate. Like people liked her. And then when she ran for president in 2007, 2008, that's when the upper research started to come back up. You know, they started painting her as, you know, basically not knowing her place, you know, because when she was first lady, she was pushing for the essentially it's like the Affordable Care Act, but for children. I forget what they call it. Anyway, it's an act that gave children insurance or something rather. But there were always a lot of things she would do that kind of broke the mold of the first lady position that people did not like. And then they always try to tie her back to the Clinton presidency, and there was a misogynistic tinge to it, especially when they would try to say that it's her fault that Hillary and that Bill, you know, got some blowy in the White House. Yeah, it's like none of that made sense to me. As far as the black people not voting for her because of certain things she might have done to Obama in the 2008 primary, I actually don't think that's the case. I actually don't think that many people were that concerned with 8 years prior. What happened is, and you can tell it from the demographic breakdown in the black vote, 98% of black women voted for Hillary Clinton. 98% of black women understood that, look, Donald Trump is a clear and present danger. We can't let this guy in. We got to vote for Hillary. Black men, on the other hand, I think it was like 14% of black men voted for Trump, something like that.
Yeah.
I think the idea of a woman being president affected men in a way that that they couldn't understand, and that includes black men.
Do you think a minority VP nominee would have helped corral everybody? Because I think so. I think that was the big thing that she missed out on. And I'm not saying she had to do it, you know, because like the party's pissed because they felt like Bernie Sanders got did wrong. So you got a whole, you know, however many million people that are pissed. You got to try to get them energized to come on along. And, you know, you got people saying, well, you know, Obama's not on the ticket no more. So, you know, people of color are going to go vote. You got somebody like Cory Booker, some other good potential candidates that you could have grabbed and said, hey, you know, run with me. Yeah. And you picked Tim Kaine. And I just felt like that was just whatever air was in that balloon, it busted when she picked Tim Kaine. Because it's like
I don't even think
bland.
she had to pick a minority. Honestly, just pick somebody who's a hell of a lot more inspiring than Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine was just boring. Honestly, he didn't bring anything amazing to the one thing I'll say about John McCain. John McCain, when he ran, he was smart for picking Sarah Palin as a woman. But the reason that was also smart is just because she brought a brand new energy to it. A lot of people said it was a sugar high. You know, she brought the whole thing up, but then it went crashing after you realized her politics. But Tim Kaine, he wasn't even he, like you said, he deflated the balloon. If she had picked a guy, a white man, but a white man who might have brought in something maybe progressive or maybe just more inspiring, I think that would have helped her a lot better than
and I don't think it had to be a minority, but like
that would have helped.
When your campaign is like, wouldn't say fighting for its life, but you know that you're gonna be in a battle, you got to do something to get it energized. People don't have time to go research who Tim Kaine is and figure out who he is and all this other stuff going on. Like, you got to bring in somebody with name recognition that you can get on the campaign trail with and go about your business. And I felt like
easy, but that's the thing. They didn't think the campaign was on life support. You know, all the polls are saying that she was leading by 10 points, 11 points.
But they were like nationally. But if you look, you know, and I'm big, I'm
state by state.
Like, I'm big on it. I watch the polls every day. I go on Real Clear Politics, shout out to them, and they show you every day which polls come out, who's winning, all that stuff. And, you know, Pennsylvania, you winning by 2 points. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not a good lead, especially within the margin of error. Pennsylvania should have never went red. You know, Wisconsin, Michigan, you winning by 1-2 points. You got a problem on your hands unless your internal polling is telling you something else. Mm-hmm. Like, I just felt like it was there. Like, the blueprint was there, and you just was like, well, it's Donald Trump, so they would never vote him in.
Yeah. She underestimated how polarizing she was, basically. But sorry, I didn't answer the Biden question. So what can Biden do to lose? At this point, I'm sorry. I feel like I need to knock on wood. I don't think there's anything he can do to lose at this point. What he could have done to lose was in the debates. Had he come to the debates looking downright, you know, senile or something like that, I think that could have made people be like, oof, yeah, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't vote for Biden. I think at this point, people have made up their minds with what is it now? 9 days to go. Yeah, I don't think there's anything he can do further to change the tide. He's not going to gain any more votes at this point, but he's not going to lose any more. I think now it's just, you know, is Trump all of a sudden going to become presidential with 10 days to go? I don't see it.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And one more thing, and I'll toss it back to my brother. I read an article that was saying like polls are probably going to be the most accurate they've ever been this year because people are literally telling you who they voted for. Instead of, well, this is who I think I'm going to go to vote for on election day. A lot of people like us, like y'all said, y'all have already voted. So if a poll calls you and says, hey, who you want to vote for, you're basically telling them who you voted for.
Yeah, I got surveyed last week on the toilet. So yeah, you're right. They called me. I was in the bathroom. I was like, yeah, I'll answer your questions.
I ain't got a number time right now.
Don't mind the echo.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the toilet flushes, I apologize in advance.
Yeah, I apologize. You caught me at the wrong time.
Well, 16 is back to you.
All right. So again, we just want to reiterate that we're talking to the fellas Zeus and Zino from the ZZ Talk podcast. Make sure you go on YouTube, search for ZZ Talk or ZZ Talk Features. All right. So we just had an extended discussion about politics, and with your show, you talk about a range of topics from sports to politics. So what's a subject that you guys haven't tackled yet that you feel like is next up to kind of get into?
Subject that we haven't tackled. Well, as a broad topic, I feel like we've talked about several broad topics, but to deep dive into it, one thing that we wanted to talk about is specifically superhero movies. Like because that's a big thing that we have in common, right? And we've touched on, you know, the state of the MCU and all that stuff, the DCEU, but not really gone.
We're not talking about the DCU.
All right. But not really gone deep into it. And part of that is because of the times we live in. There's a pandemic and all these movies are being pushed back, and we can't really dive into that. But yeah, we definitely our opening tag is, sports, entertainment with a heavy dose of politics. But I feel like the entertainment section is lacking quite a bit just because there isn't a lot of that going on.
Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, it just depends on where the tide will go. For example, there's been 2 episodes where a certain section took over a lot more than we thought it would. For example, Zino came out. So one of the biggest structures that we have in our podcast is our top 5. M16, I heard you're the king of segues. So that's what I saw on yesterday's episode.
I'm just
so one of the things we try to do is we try to do our top.
How did that make its way to the aftermath?
That's fire.
Hey man, I was watching. So so one of the things we do is we try to segue our top 5 into a subject, right? So for example, the same way you guys touched on Ice Cube, right?
Yep.
By the way, how's that copyright going? The
Patent pending.
Oh, it's been okay. All right.
I gotta look in the camera. Patent pending.
So the top 5, this one was like, we were actually struggling to figure out a top 5, and then I was like, well, we're talking about Ice Cube. A good segue would be a top 5 about our top 5 favorite rappers going into the Ice Cube conversation, right? And then one of the things that we did the previous episode was, instead of a top 5 of top favorite whatever, we did top 5 things that we expect the Falcons to do, because that was right when Dan Quinn and Thomas Mitchell got fired. And another one was, there was a lot of debates coming up. So Zino came out look, let's talk about the top 5 debates that we should look forward to, or we should pay attention to. So that's one of the big things that we do talk about, but it's based on what's either going to be on the actual dais today, or what's the biggest thing going on right now, right? Mulan came out, they had a controversy, with the whole, possibly them filming in a place that had
the lead
Muslim
actor said something crazy apparently.
Well, yeah, so
Muslim internment camps.
Yeah, 2 controversies: the Uyghur Muslims and the internment camps, basically, and then the lead actress back in the police.
The police brutality in Tokyo and whatever. So we did our top 5 favorite. What was
Hong Kong. Sorry.
Hong Kong. I'm sorry. Hong Kong. What did we do? Top 5 favorite? I think it was like favorite
Disney songs.
Disney animated songs. So hey, we try to pick up whatever we can, just because we like to have that little niche of top 5, right? That feels like that gets the conversation going.
That is definitely the more difficult conversation. I think top 5 Disney movies, a lot of people can kind of spit off 5, but animated songs, that's a good one.
No,
I feel like that took a lot of thought and effort.
I want to let y'all know this too, Zeus and Zino. Y'all don't know this yet, but you guys are on the stupidest show that you'll ever be on, because we've had conversations about top 5 like grocery store fried chicken. That was a whole thing that took over a segment. We talked about that for like 30, 45 minutes. So I just wanted to,
by the way,
yes,
underrated.
Grocery
store fried chicken.
Oh, grocery store fried chicken is underrated.
grocery store
I know Publix is pretty good.
That's when we mentioned Publix, okay. And then
so you've had Publix,
it morphed into, it was a whole thing. Like, we weren't even supposed to talk about that. It just morphed into it. So I can understand where you can
Walmart.
Skip Walmart. Walmart's fried chicken. I had it. It was trash.
No. So don't get the fried chicken. Get the ranch wings.
Oh, okay.
It's a fried chicken wing, but it's got like ranch powder fried into it. It's great. You can
all right.
Or just throwing it out there, just do your shopping at Walmart and then go to Popeyes or KFC afterward and leave the chicken at the grocery store.
Or just take my advice and go get you some.
Oh, I see how this took over a whole segment.
It did. It becomes a whole thing. It's a big argument, and then next thing you know, we got a whole episode behind that. I got another question for you guys, and I'm gonna toss it back to EZ because I know he has something else for you. So, you guys are just starting out a podcast. So what would you say has been the most helpful feedback you've gotten so far? And then also, if you received some criticism, do you feel like whatever negatives that came up, it was something that you could use to help the show a little bit better?
for me, the most helpful feedback was look into the camera like Joe Biden. No, but the other thing was fix your audio. That's why I wear this all the time. So Zeus has the earphones. It's like barely noticeable, but like his audio comes out fine. I tried using my Bluetooth earphones and it was atrocious. So I just wear this and it's my gaming headset. So.
Yeah, I was about to say that's definitely a gaming headset. Are you?
You see the controller? PS4.
My man, I knew I liked you, man. I like you. Hey, after this, I'm gonna get your gamer tag. I'm gonna add you.
Right.
I'm not a gamer, so as y'all can see, I'm a reader.
Yeah. You got the books. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
So actually, one of the things
Zino, get some J Labs. Get some J Lab. That's what I'm wearing. Even though these damn things don't stay in my ear right now, but these wireless ones, they work really good.
I actually never wear earphones on our podcast because I've actually figured out today, because I'm in my office, and my office is, as you can see, toe to toe with books on one side. Everything has something on the wall. There's no echo. So if you've ever listened to I never wear these earphones. I just wore them today because I wanted to make sure that everything came out clear. Being a guest on your show, but I never wear those. But as far as criticism, honestly, one of the criticisms my wife says is that she thinks we go on too long. But I told her, I was like, you don't understand how podcasts are. Podcasts can be a little. Now, that is one thing that we did discuss recently that we kind of want to we don't want to sacrifice, and I'm pretty sure you guys deal with this too, because obviously there's 6 of y'all. We don't want to sacrifice the conversation for the sake of time. If the conversation is going great, we don't want to stunt it because we want to take it down to 20 minutes or whatever. So we still try to keep the conversation organic, but we kind of want to try to see if we can not tone down, but kind of compress a little bit of time just to have as much topics as we can. But we also, that's the biggest thing, is like, how do you compress time to talk about everything you want, but at the same time, don't sacrifice the conversation itself to, have a good show.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Cause like I said earlier, we'll have like 5 topics that we're ready to talk about, and we'll only get to like 2 or 3 because the conversation was just so good with those 2 or 3 topics. It's like, you really don't feel the need to go to 4 or 5 because, I mean, if you did, you wouldn't have them 4 and 5 anyway, right? So, that's a great point. Like, we got 6, so everybody's got something to say, and it's always some really good insight on stuff. So, yeah, we definitely try to just let everybody say their piece and, keep the conversation going.
Do you guys do like one really long clip, or do you cut them up into different clips for your particular recording?
It's one long one. It depends. Sometimes, like when we were just audio, it was more segmented. I could break things up a little bit better. But now that we've migrated to doing video, we'll just go, and it'll be one of those things where if it organically happens, it's like, keep that in. We're gonna keep that part in. We're not gonna edit that out. We want that to stay. But all the stuff that is kind of like run on or keeps going for too long, we could just edit that stuff out. So we just go, and then deem whatever's cool to keep in. So that's how we run that now that we migrated to YouTube. And another thing too, when we're on the subject, I guess, about things, one thing that you guys can incorporate as far as like, well, I mean, you already do a lot of things right already. It's like you guys almost seem like you're veterans at it already. So it's not like it's a bunch of stuff to critique with what you got going on, because
it's all Zino, man.
The banter is organic. The way he sets it up, like, Zino, are you like how I am? Because I've been accused of being not necessarily a control freak when it comes to stuff, but I just get obsessed with making sure that stuff is like, if we're gonna be putting it out there, it has to be correct. It has to be.
I'm not gonna let Zino answer that one. Let me answer this so you can get an idea.
Well, that's the answer right there.
So we recorded, I forgot what episode it was, and he was like, "Yeah, this is like on a Tuesday." He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have this set up so that way I can release it on Thursday and Friday, right? I'll have all day Wednesday." I'm at the store with my wife and the kids, and he sends me a message. He's like, "Yeah, I'm done with the episode." This was Wednesday morning, like around noon. I was like, "I thought you said you were gonna have it on Thursday." He was like, "No, I ended up editing, and I stayed editing until like 4:00 in the morning." And he had to work. He only had like 30 minutes of sleep to go to work the next day on that Wednesday. So I hope that answers your question as to whether he's now in regards to like the flow of the conversation. It's very organic. We just do you know, we just keep going, and then maybe there will be a time where maybe I'll end the conversation, like be like, all right, we need to move on to the next topic, because we know if we keep going, we're going to go on for too long. Yeah. But as far as the conversation and you know, everything, that's pretty organic. We're pretty 50-50 on that. But as far as like the editing and getting all that stuff done, and that's all Zino, man. He's that's all him. He's the MVP.
I work from home, so it wasn't like a big thing to like wake up and go to work. I just flip over and turn on my computer. But yeah, I mean, that does happen. I do get a little neurotic when it comes to like, okay, let me, you know, do this editing and then, you know, add this. So one thing about me is I always feel like it's important to learn from the previous episode or previous thing that was done, right? And if anyone, you know, feels like taking the time to go through our 92 videos and see the progression, you can tell that over time we're constantly getting it better and better. We're tightening things up. You know, just recently in our last 2 videos, we added, I think, 20 more seconds to our intro to show people how to get to the playlist and click on that and see all the, you know.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like we're constantly trying to refine it to get to the best state possible, because, you know, it's a reflection of you, right? The work you put out is a reflection of, you know,
yes,
of you as a person. So.
And the crew will tell you, because I am easy to laugh at this, but when we were audio only, when it came to dead air, I became like a drill sergeant. I'm like, look, I'm not gonna create extra work for me to have to edit out a bunch of 10 or 20 seconds of dead air. So please don't turn me into a tyrant and just keep talking whatever you do. I'd rather you keep talking about some complete bullshit, long as we don't have any dead air.
Yeah. So you'd be like, EZ, say something.
Now, like,
yes, I'm like,
if y'all want to see like what 16 looks like as a control freak, like we were talking about like the LGBTQ community, and he was just sitting there frozen because he like could not control the conversation. And he was like, golly, please, like in his head, he didn't say this, but he's just like, please nobody say nothing stupid or like out of pocket. Like, please, like you could just tell in his face, he was just sitting there the whole time like,
yeah.
Then the conversation, he was like, oh, okay.
Because it's like landmines. I'm like, somebody that's gonna accidentally say something, you know, that might offend somebody, even though they're not trying to offend somebody. So I'm sort of that. But you know, it's one of these things where we gotta, everybody like on the team sort of does their part to get into whatever the finished product. But this show ain't about us. It's about ZZ Talk and getting to know you guys, man. It's about getting to know you guys. So EZ, man, you got something else for Zeus and Zino?
All right. So we talked about politics. I got to get into sports. On the outside looking in, as a Saints fan, I think it's time for you guys to blow everything up.
Oh my God.
Trade your people, get some picks, and just start from the ground up.
Are you gonna be like my? I was gonna say, you're gonna be like my boy, who's from the Patriots. He's like, hey man, how much you think Belichick can get for Julio Jones? Are you gonna be like that? Like, yo, think Sean Payton trade for Julio Jones?
I think just my perspective. I think you guys have a talented roster, but I just don't like y'all. I feel like y'all are in. Y'all could go either way. Y'all could either blow it up, or y'all could like draft really well and try to build on what you have. I just feel like you could get a lot for a Julio. I feel like you could get a lot for a Matt Ryan. The Calvin Ridleys and the Deion Jones of the world. If you're not trying to pay them, why are you trying to hold on to them, you know? But
no,
they're young enough to where you could keep them on the team and they could be a core part of what you got going on, like, you know, of the continuance of the team. So like I said, we had a top five things that we think the Falcons will do or will be doing. An episode, I believe it was episode 8 or episode 9. And
9.
You're
quick,
right.
Zeus,
Y'all
are gonna stop.
It was episode 8.
Yeah.
Zeus, real quick. Y'all, another thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna stop counting episodes here real soon. You're gonna remember,
I'm sure.
remember that
I'm sure. After 10, yeah, I'm pretty sure
you're gonna stop soon.
But in the episode, we talked about top 5 things, and one of the things that I said, and I don't know if 16 of you had a chance to look at it, where I was talking about that the new GM head coach tandem will probably have to be a 6 years a la Shanahan and Lynch, 3 years with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, and 3 years to rebuild after Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, because I think these are the last extensions that those two are going to get, unless somehow Matt Ryan just puts up MVP numbers again and gets him to the playoffs, within that year. And then they're like, you know what, we just can't move on from him. And he does a team-friendly kind of extension. But it's most likely going to be 3 years with Ryan and Jones and 3 years without. And some people saying maybe 2 years only, but I say 3 just because that's what's left on their contracts, and it's a lot of dead cap space. If they trade him, they're not going to trade him. That's one thing I'll tell you right now. Unless the trading value is so amazing for the Falcons, they won't be able to trade him because you still have to take like $75 million in dead cap space for trading Ryan alone. So I don't think that'll happen. But as far as blow up,
it seems like it's likely it's going to happen. I just think that, like I said, outside looking in, I think you could get a lot for a Matt Ryan.
You probably could. I think you could. There's a lot of teams that are still, they're still hungry for a quarterback like Matt Ryan. No, that is true. But I think they're more of a they're kind of doing, they're not blowing it up, but they definitely are rebuilding, right? And then right now, what Arthur Blank did was he basically, because if you looked at last week's game against the Vikings, you know how when you see an interim head coach, he gets the interim vibes.
Yep.
When Sean Payton was when Sean Payton was suspended for that 1 year, whoever was the interim, you didn't get he's the head coach. You got the interim head coach. He's like, oh, I'm just here because I gotta take the spot for right now.
Right.
With Raheem Morris, you're kind of getting the whole, I'm the head coach, not an interim head coach. So it's kind of like, I think right now what Arthur Blank is doing is like, I'm just gonna wait and see what you do. You give me 8-8, you're gone, right? But hey, you did a good resume for you to go be a head coach somewhere else. If you get me to the playoffs, then we'll talk about it. If you do the miraculous turnaround, there's 7 seeds this year versus 6. That I looked at the playoff seeding from 2015 up to this year. There would be, if there was a 7 seed, I think 2 or 3 times an 8-8 team would have been in the 7 seed. So it's still open, although with AB signing to the Buccaneers, it's kind of like you kind of get this feeling that the Bucs want to try to run away with the division. But I think
don't get me started on that.
Like I said at the beginning of the year,
because it looks like he wants to say something.
He'll definitely have an opinion. So like I said I'll just real quickly before I give it out to Zino, the Buccaneers to me have the makings of a number 1 seed that loses to a 6 seed. That's all I'm gonna say. Like they got too many. I feel like they got too many.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take right there.
I don't see that as an outrageous hot take because there's been 2 sides to the Buccaneers. There's the side that got destroyed by us, and then there's the side that beat Green Bay. Which one's gonna show up? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm not sold on. They lost to Chicago for Christ's sakes.
So Zino, what you got? Hop on in, man.
Well, yeah, what I was gonna say with regards to just completely dismantling the team. First of all,
let me clarify. You got 2 types of rebuilds. You got the blow the shit up like the Georgia Dome, or you got what the Saints did where Drew's is still there. You had all these pieces still there, and you just kind of drafted well until it worked out.
Yeah, you floated mediocrity for a few years.
Yeah, I think the latter is probably what the Falcons would need to do. So the way I see it, right? Ridley, Deion Jones, they're not going anywhere. They shouldn't go anywhere.
They're not, and they shouldn't.
I think it was after we lost in week 3 when we were 0-3, and someone said something. Oh yeah, it was after the Julio Jones dropping the touchdown.
The Gage touchdown pass.
Yeah, Gage to Jones, and someone said, and I think they were joking on this Facebook group called Atlanta Bird Gang, whatever. They said that we should trade Julio Jones and see what we can get for him. And, people were flaming that guy. Like, what are you talking about? Julio Jones is Falcons for life. I actually don't disagree with that. Or at least I didn't disagree with that at the time. And the reason I say that is because Julio Jones is the greatest receiver that the Falcons have had. But Julio Jones also has this nagging issue. I think it's with his foot, or I don't think it's a knee issue. I think
it's his leg. It's either the foot or the hamstring.
All Band-Aid team.
Right. So he has this nagging issue, and I think there's still enough status tied to his name there that you can get a good trade for him. But if you try to extend it too long and other teams start to see, oh, Jones isn't all the way where he's supposed to be.
Looking at you, AJ Green.
Right. Jones isn't. Yeah, exactly. AJ Green. So Jones isn't exactly where it's supposed to be. People will start wanting to offer less and less, and then his trade value just becomes a moot point.
You already have your one. Really, he's arguably 1A if you play fantasy
Ridley,
football.
right?
Ridley's right there.
Yeah,
he's prime time.
Yeah.
Russell Gage. I'm an LSU guy. The kid can ball. He went to LSU. Okay, like if we started listing the LSU receivers, you'd be very impressed. He can ball. He's ready to go.
Easy. What's the question I always ask with these players that you have on your team is when you're considering trading them, I always say this is, okay, people in Atlanta love Julio Jones. He's an iconic figure as a Falcon. But you got to ask yourself this question, and I know it's going to anger the guys from ZZ Talk, but what winning have you done with him? That's the thing you got to look at. What winning have you done?
No.
And it's like...
The question should be, has Julio gotten you closer to winning than if you didn't have Julio? In baseball, they have this stat called wins above runs or something like that, where it's like you can tell the individual contribution. Sorry, you can tell the contribution of an individual player, despite the fact that the Dodgers have 100 wins in a 162 game season. If they pulled out Cody Bellinger or pulled out this person, would they be that high or would they be even better? So I think with Julio Jones and the Falcons,
the answer to that is no, by the way.
right, exactly. That was a heartbreaker for the Braves.
Pull out your jersey again real quick. This is what I meant by what winning have you done with him. What I mean is the hardware to show the fact that winning was done with him. There is none. If you look at the stat sheet, that ring stat sheet is empty.
But then the question would be, so I know we haven't won, we don't have hardware. The question would be, would we even get to the point where we are in the talks of winning without
Julio Jones would have won us that Super Bowl if Kyle Shanahan's stupid ass had ran the ball. That catch would have been the Super Bowl winning catch.
That would be the highlights.
But that was a problem right there, right? The thing with the Saints that y'all had that year was your coach was smart. First of all, he did that trick play, right? The onside kick. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, I hate y'all motherfuckers, but that play, I'm like, yo, y'all should throw up that play every single time somebody talks crap and just throw that out. But like, look, this is what. And then what happened? That got y'all steamrolling. It got Peyton Manning out of the game, and then he did that game-ending interception. He
played the Super Bowl the way you're supposed to. He played it. Fortunately, it's been us since we got there. Is you play that Super Bowl like you're never going back. And that's what he did.
And that's the problem is you let Kyle, like, this is the Super Bowl, you're letting him still do his thing. I was like, once he saw Matt Ryan one time step back and then somebody got a foul or something like that.
Yeah.
You need to.
I'm with Zeus. You get in his face. You walk over to him.
Because first of all, you got Freeman doing MVP numbers right now. He could easily. The worst case scenario is he scores a touchdown. The best case scenario is you get a field goal and then you ice the game.
You go get in his face.
I know this doesn't help the situation, but you're right. You're right, Zeus. Kyle Shanahan has ran the ball like 60% of the time in San Francisco. He learned from his mistakes in that Super Bowl because San Francisco runs the ball.
Not so much because he started throwing the ball around again against in the San Francisco.
Hold on. We watched that Super Bowl together. If Jimmy Garoppolo hits Emmanuel Sanders in the hands, that game's over. He called the right play. Well, Emmanuel Sanders.
And that's why Julio Jones did get that catch, right? So once you do that, and I think the problem with, I'm going to say one thing. One of my friends said, because I asked him about what do you think Julio Jones' problem is? Julio Jones, he's like, he doesn't think it's his problem, but he's like, the reason Julio Jones decided to take all that money was just because, like, all right, you guys aren't serious about winning the Super Bowl because I won y'all a Super Bowl.
Hey,
I'm just going to take as much money as I can.
He said the same thing. He's like, hey, I ain't winning no ring. So
I ain't winning no ring here. I might as well get paid.
Might as well get paid, exactly.
Get the bag. And I can look at Zino. I can look at Zino's face. Zino is a hardcore Falcon. Like, you can see, like Zeus, I knew you were, but Zino's like, don't be treading on my Falcons, man. You can see it on his face, man.
Unlike my brother, in 2016, I was like, bro, not to be the bearer of bad news. They're the most talented offense. They're rolling.
They were. Don't
be shocked if they win. Like,
ooh, I was plotting on your demise. I'm sitting there like in my evil lair, like, please do not let this happen.
He was, but Zino, you made a great point. I just look at it. If the Minnesota Vikings can get a first round pick and 3 other draft picks for Stephon Diggs, You mean to tell me you couldn't get that for Julio and more? That's why I'm like,
you got to find the right team to do that. You know, if you, because the thing is though, you also got some guy, Bill O'Brien, trading Andre Hopkins, who I think is the best wide receiver in the game today, for a second rounder. So it just depends on who bites at what and who offers what.
I think if you make that Julio Jones now, like following that game against the Vikings, then you can get something better for him, because I think his draft stock his value went up.
I don't know if y'all play fantasy football, but
Zino does.
So Zino, hey, the guy that got Julio in my league, I hit him up. I was like, hey, what you want for Julio? Like, so if I'm doing it in fantasy, I can only imagine what NFL GMs are doing.
I've drafted Ridley every year that he's been in the league because of Julio. Because I know that everyone's double teaming, triple teaming Julio, so the second guy is going to get numbers, which Ridley has been doing. So I think the problem though now is, from a fantasy perspective, it's going to be a Julio week, a Ridley week, a Julio week, a Ridley. That's if the offense does what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, in our league, the guy that had Calvin Ridley, he traded him this week for
easy. Nobody cares about your fantasy team.
Time out. I'm talking it with Zino. Anyways,
I'm saying nobody cares about his fantasy team. That's like the worst guy. That's the worst guy to corner you at the office is the fantasy football guy.
Hey, I love fantasy football, man.
I'm just trying to see if this is a fair trade, because it happened in my league. The guy that had Ridley, he traded away Ridley for Cooper Kupp, a running back, and I want to say Brandon Cooks.
The running back doesn't even have a name.
J.D. McKissick.
Oh, McKissick. Okay.
You know what? I think y'all two go like y'all can have we have a thing called ZZ Feet where we have a guest, and it's only been Zino so far, but it's supposed to be either him, myself, or both of us interview somebody. I think y'all can have your little fantasy, because
we will.
Because like 16 said, we don't care about y'all.
So I actually don't mind that trade. I think Kupp has. I think Kupp has his games where he puts up numbers. I just think Ridley is a lot more consistent. So the fact that he threw in another wide receiver as almost like a handcuff, and then you have McKissick, is I think it's a decent trade.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But we can go back to
y'all gonna have your fantasy league, your fantasy league special.
Jeez. I'm telling you, that's the worst guy to corner you is fantasy football guy.
And guess what?
You put your arm on your.
It's like a vegan. A vegan who's desperate to tell you about how he's a vegan. Fantasy football is desperate to tell you that he won a fantasy.
And when you're over here tomorrow watching Red Zone, just know when
I know he's like for fantasy purposes.
Celebrate because it's fantasy related.
But it's cool because I could just clothesline you because I'll be 5 feet away from you. But seriously though, we got a little game that we play with our guests here. But before we get to that, I did have one last question with that is, if you could just tell everybody sort of like your schedule, when you drop shows, and anything else that we didn't cover as far as where to find you online. And then, like I said, we got a game that we play with our guests here on the Aftermath here. So anything.
So we generally try to record on Wednesdays, so that we can start dropping clips on Thursday, right? Because what we do is we have a recording of 2 hours length, and then we chop them up into clips that we're trying to limit to 20 minutes, and then we put them in a YouTube playlist, right? So over time, you start seeing the clips drop, and it's oh, there you go, a new ZZ Talk clip. As far as how to find us on YouTube, you can type in ZZ Talk, but more than likely you're gonna see
ZZ Top
videos from ZZ Top. So probably try ZZ Talk, Zino and Zeus. Zino is Zino. Zeus is, God of Thunder, Zeus. So ZZ Talk, Zino and Zeus. It's long-winded, but that would be a good way to find our clips. Like and subscribe, so you can see when we drop new clips.
Yeah.
I like what he did there. He just stuck that in there. Like and subscribe.
And share. Share as much as you can. And also you'll notice that it depends on who's saying it, but it's either ZZ Talk with Zeus and Zino or ZZ Talk with Zino and Zeus. It just depends on.
so you know what I've started doing when I upload the videos and I do the description? if I'm the one who does the intro, that episode, I say Zino and Zeus talk about yada yada. If you're the one who does the intro, I do Zeus and Zino.
Zeus and
I don't know if you noticed that. So,
But yeah, for right now, we only have the YouTube page. We're hoping to build that up, right?
we have all the audio files. It was actually supposed to be just a podcast. We have all the audio files, but it's been YouTube so far.
Yeah, so we're hoping. We're just hoping to expand that. Trying to get like you said, like and subscribe. And honestly, he's being modest for me because in reality, it's unfortunately, it's based on my schedule, just because I have the wife and the kids, and then my wife works overnight, so it just depends on when she's off, so she can watch the kids while I record and all that good stuff. And so Zino, thankfully, he's he see that room behind him? That's the small room in the big ass house that he gets to own by himself. He doesn't have to share it with a bunch of people. But
I like having my space.
Yeah. So honestly, it just depends on. But we try to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. There's been occasions where Saturday we recorded, but one time that was just we called it the convention on the convention, where we talked about the convention speeches. And then another time it was just, that's the only time I could record. So hopefully we try to drop Wednesday, we try to record so we could drop on Thursday, because one of the things that we do have currently, and that might change once football's over, because currently what we try to do is we try to drop our recap of the week in football, and then our predictions of the week in football.
Yeah.
Because we have a little game
Carolina in your picks. I saw that.
Yeah, Zeno's flaming me right now.
Yeah, I see both of them pick Carolina for the upset. Easy, by the way, while you buddying up to your boy Zino with all his fantasy picks. He picked against your squad to take an L tomorrow.
Look, it hurt my heart when I picked New Orleans one time and then y'all lost.
Oh, well, if we soured you like that, I'm interested to know, with no Christian McCaffrey. Now Robbie Anderson might go off. He's in my lineup, by the way. I'm very interested to know why y'all picked Carolina.
All right. Well, I'll tell you why I picked Carolina. It's the most concrete of reasons. It's because the Falcons need the Saints to lose. That's why. It was purely based on the numbers. It's not based on
it's strictly a numbers game. I was waiting for like a Teddy Bridgewater had a bad game. He's gonna bounce back. I was kind of waiting.
None of that. No.
Actually, I think I did it based on. That's the reason why I chose New Orleans. I'm sorry, Carolina was because Terry Bridgewater. I feel like he's going to be back and forth, where he's going to have amazing games, where he's going to have bad games, and I feel like this one's going to be a great game where he's going to have. And then I like New Orleans losing.
Because I thought you guys were going to pick against us every week. Like, I was shocked that both of y'all picked us against the Chargers. Because I watched the show, and I wanted to specifically hone in. I want to see who these two Falcons are going to pick when it comes to us. Are they going to be
look, one
objective?
thing you'll learn about us is, look, like I said, I'm very progressive, right? But I'm objective. I try to be as objective as I can be with the politics. Same thing with football. I'm going to try to be as objective as I can with the
But aren't you the guy... Wait, hold on, Zeus. Weren't you the guy who posted on his personal Facebook, man, this pandemic is hell, but it's still fuck the Saints? I remember that post.
I mean, that's true. Still fuck the Saints. Y'all win. Hey, congratulations, but fuck y'all.
I could come up with 28. I could come up with 28 reasons why that's bad, or 3 reasons.
Oh, he had to go there. He had to go
All right, guys, I have to go.
Let's put a bounty on him. Let's put a bounty on him.
All right. But we definitely appreciate, but you guys aren't off the hook yet, because we got a little game that we play with our guests on here. It's called Don't At Me, where I'm going to come at you guys with a bunch of rapid fire questions, and you answer it like it's telling somebody, like if you are online, like, hey man, don't at me. It's like saying I said what I said, basically. So you give your answer and then you'll say don't at me. So and easy, you can tell them, man, I do not make this easy at all. All right. So we're gonna have some fun with this.
All right.
Y'all are ready. Oh, I'm sorry in advance.
Okay.
We have theme music and everything.
Who's gonna go first? Is it? Or you gonna say?
So he'll ask the question, and then one of y'all give the answer. The next person gives the answer, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Yep. So that's how that works. I'm gonna actually start with you with this one, Zino. This first one. What's the better movie snack? Popcorn or nachos?
Popcorn. Don't at me.
There you go.
Zeus.
Nachos. Don't at me. I'm Mexican, by the way. It had to be nachos. Don't at me.
See, I wasn't gonna say that, so I'm glad you said it.
I'm cool with it, man. I'm realistic about it.
Nachos just get you parked.
But the
Some
correct answer is popcorn. Don't act.
Okay. All right.
For me, the answer is yes. Actually, yes.
Either or.
One each, right?
Mix them together. They'll go to the same place.
I love nachos, but they're just too messy while you're trying to
But
watch
this
a
is
movie.
a hack, though.
Like,
especially now that the theater's got that reclining chair, so you over here eating them like this.
See, here's the hack, though. When you're out with your wife or your girlfriend or whomever, you know, you get her to get one, you get the other. Best of both worlds right there. Bam. All right, here's the next one. All right, I'll start with Zino again on this one. Zino, which one is more true? Taco Bell's drive-thru is slow or Chick-fil-A's drive-thru is fast?
Chick-fil-A's drive-thru is fast. Don't at me.
Chick-fil-A's drive-thru is fast. Don't at me.
Which one's more true or
true? Which one is more true?
More true, right? Okay.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, it's Chick-fil-A. But I never heard of Taco Bell being slow before. That's interesting.
Oh, they are slow, brother. They are slow.
Hey, not at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're the only one there.
No.
All right.
You're not the only one there, unless. Yeah, no. Taco Bell is popping at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I was about to say, especially on a college thing.
I haven't been out in a long ass time, so I don't know how Taco Bell what the drive-thrus are at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, they literally got rid of everything on the great things on the
Yeah,
menu.
I know, I saw that. Yeah.
All right. Here's the next one. I'm gonna start with you on this one, Zeus, because it's more up your alley too, but we'll see. Who is the better in-ring performer? Ric Flair or Shawn Michaels?
Oh, Shawn Michaels, don't at me.
Shawn Michaels only because I think Ric Flair is a little before my time. Don't at me. I know they were around the same era, but yeah.
Is it?
Mr. WrestleMania, man. Mr. WrestleMania. Don't at me.
Are you out of this question?
Well, no, it's Shawn Michaels. Don't at me, and because of Zeno's answers, Ric Flair's before my time.
I was gonna say that if you could just take everything out of it and put somebody in the ring that's just their craft, Shawn Michaels might be the greatest wrestler who ever lived, ever, when it comes to selling the whole nine. But it's something about Ric Flair, man. Like, it's just something about that dude, man. My shoes cost more than your house, man. It's just something about that guy, man. All right.
He had that swagger for sure. Like, Ric Flair was a showman, but wrestling wise, Shawn Michaels, don't at me.
Y'all are gonna get the most don't at me questions because we never had simultaneous like guests before. So y'all gonna get even more than what we usually get. All right, here's the next one. Zeus, Powerade or Gatorade?
Oh, Gatorade, don't at me.
Gatorade, don't at me.
It's Gatorade.
Even though I went to UGA and F Florida, but Gatorade.
What's your favorite flavor? Zeno, what's your favorite Gatorade flavor?
The orange. I'm bland, man. I like the orange.
No, that's not bland. Zeus, what about you? What's your favorite flavor, man?
Blue or red. It doesn't matter which one, as long as blue or red.
Okay. EZ, what about you? What's your favorite flavor, man?
It's definitely a Cool Rush for sure.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
Cool
drinking,
Rush, my man.
I'm drinking Riptide Rush. Don't sleep on Riptide Rush.
Man, you went to UGA?
Yeah, I did.
Damn.
Hey, man.
Falcons fan and UGA? God damn.
Look, man, and I don't know if you follow the Premier League, but I'm also a Newcastle United fan. So I just support losers all around.
You getting
loyalty, man.
Wow.
One of them's gonna win.
They gonna be your pallbearers, bro. The way
Because they
taking
never
all three of them.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, so I got the next one here. I just decided to stop the theme music. It's cool. Y'all get the idea. All right. So, Zeno, which one do you feel is harder to win? A Super Bowl or an NBA championship?
NBA championship. Well, don't at me. You want me to explain why or no?
Yeah, I'll come back around and I'd love to get your explanation. Zeus, what about you, man?
I'd say Super Bowl, don't at me.
All right. Easy.
That's a good question. I would go with a Super Bowl. Damn.
It's a good ass question.
I think I'm gonna say NBA championship because there's not many teams that have won a lot of them or have won any at all. Like at least a Super Bowl, everybody's sorry guys, but majority of the teams have at least appeared in one or have won one. The Patriots and the Nine. There's only like 3 or 4 teams that have like 5 or more.
man,
Whereas
it's a
NBA, like Lakers, Celtics, like
it's a Super Bowl, man. It's the hardest thing to win in sports because so many things have to break your way for you to win one.
Yeah.
You know, an NBA championship. I'm not saying it isn't hard, but more times than not, the best team in the NBA wins. You get some randomness in football where you catch a hot wild card team that can go through the playoffs.
And here's why I say NBA championship, because in the NFL, the players don't care about what city they play in. Like in the NFL, if your team's good, they're going to want to join your team. They don't care if it's in Green Bay. They don't care if it's in LA. They're going to want to play to win a championship. Whereas in the NBA, you got to have a big market, and you got to really try to like convince players to get there. I think the NBA championship is harder now because
you didn't think LeBron was close to going to the Memphis Grizzlies?
But that's you just made my point. So I lived in. I
want to know Zeno's explanation on why did you say NBA, Zeno?
Yeah, so that actually is also the point I was making. So first of all, you said that the Super Bowl might be harder because you could have a wild card team that just breaks one win and then wins. That's why it's easier because it's literally any given Sunday, and the 7th seed could end up, 6th seed could end up, winning it all.
Looking at you, New York Giants.
Right. Whereas in the NBA, right, first of all, because you have a smaller team, a smaller starting lineup out there, individual performances carry greater weight. And so when you have all these superstar teams that are just like, oh, we're going to get LeBron and Anthony Davis, we're going to get this and that, then you've basically reduced the sample size of potential winners. And whereas in the NFL, it literally is anyone that's in the playoffs could have those good games and win it. So that's why I think the NBA is harder.
And also too, like Zeus made it. The point, the Memphis Grizzlies. I lived in Memphis for 3 seasons. Okay, they were making the playoffs every year, and they knew they weren't going anywhere because you're not recruiting a big time player to go play in Memphis.
Yeah, Hawks made it 11 years in a row to the playoffs. Nothing.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like the NBA, the pie
that's
chart.
That could have been a whole. That question could end up being a whole show. Maybe we do another mashup on that and go into that further. I got 2 more Don't At Me questions for the guys from ZZ Talk. All right, Zeus, what's the better of these 2 bad movies from the 90s? Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
That's easy.
Oh, damn.
That's easy. Come on.
No, not for me. Nah, I'd say Street Fighter. Don't at me.
What?
Yep.
Mortal Kombat, don't at me.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, man. That was when Jean-Claude Van Damme was the shit.
Hey, yo. Yes, sir.
The Street Fighter movie had probably one of the single greatest movie lines of all time.
The line by M. Bison where he was like, it was the greatest day of your life, but for me, it was Tuesday.
That's a brilliant line. Other than that movie was trash. whereas Mortal
he
Kombat.
said the worst movie.
The best bad movie of the 90s.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, for what it was and for the production budget and all that stuff, they actually did something that no other video game movie had done in its time, which is make a watchable video game movie. Problem is that they wanted to make more money off of that, and then they went and made a sequel, Annihilation.
Annihilation, yeah.
Like a year later, that was absolutely trash. But no, Mortal Kombat is better than Street Fighter. But
sorry, what about you, man?
No, it's definitely Mortal Kombat.
All right, I'm not gonna. I mean, both of these are bad ones to start with, but I'm saying the better of the 2. Like, if one of them were to come on, which one would I sit down for? Based on just that line that Zeno and I were talking about, is Street Fighter. Just based on that line alone.
That's a fantastic line. It really is.
And it got wasted on such a god-awful movie. Yeah. All right, last one, and this is staying with the movie theme. Worst 3rd movie in a franchise: Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire, or Iron Man 3?
Oh, Spider-Man 3. I actually really liked Iron Man 3.
I agree.
We're in
the same wavelength, Easy.
Spider-Man 3, don't at me. Me and Zeno actually are gonna have. So he was saying we were gonna talk heavily about the MCU. we actually have a plan for up until Black Widow gets released to do a breakdown of each movie. And I have a feeling me and him are going to have a very interesting conversation about Iron Man 3 because I found so many flaws in that movie. So,
they ruined the Mandarin.
Spider-Man 3 was horrible. Yeah, it was just bad.
How the fuck do you ruin the You know what? I'm gonna start an argument with that part of it because I'm like, how in the world did you ruin that? But even in saying all that, Spider-Man 3 is the worst of the three. If you talk about which third movie is worse, I mean, what a disappointment that was. It killed the whole franchise. They were like, you know what? We're just gonna throw this whole thing in the trash and we're just gonna start over. Yep. But I will.
Hey, my favorite line in that movie though is Venom saying, "Hey yo, Peter, my spider senses are tingling."
What?
When he was talking to Mary Jane, he was like, "My spider senses are tingling."
I tell you what,
that shit cracked me up.
I tell you what, we definitely enjoy playing Don't At Me with the guys from ZZ Talk on the Aftermath. They're gonna get the high budget applause if it's gonna work right. There we go, high budget applause. Yes.
I like Don't At Me. That's a nice game.
Isn't it?
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. So I just wanted to say to cap things off that it was just a pleasure, sitting down, getting to know you guys, talk to you guys. Like me and Zeus, we go back a lot of years. He's a guy that I really like. And just from listening to the podcast, you come off as a very likable person too. And you guys have a great thing going. And we're happy to have you on the Aftermath today, man. We definitely appreciate the time for sure.
Zino, what's the gamer tag?
It is KAZINO.
Cool. I'll be sending you a request.
Yep. Yeah, and hey guys, thank you for having us, letting us talk about the show. It's been fun meeting fellow podcasters / YouTubers, and yeah, Zeus.
Hey man, this is great, man. I really appreciate M16. I appreciate you reaching out to me about doing this. This is awesome. We have, like we said, we have our own thing called ZZ Feet, so we'll definitely have 1, 2, 3, maybe all 6 of y'all. So cool. we'll see what happens, man. It sounds like this is going to be a good partnership between fellow podcast enthusiasts.
I got one more trade for Zino, but we don't have to put it in the record. We don't have. Like I said, we don't have to put it in the record. We can turn it off once we're done, and I'll ask him his opinion on it.
Please, because again, I have to tell you, bro, nobody cares about your fantasy.
That's why I said we'll do it after recording. Jesus,
man. Fantasy football is big. I have this huge trophy that we have for our league. It's actually, this is our 10th season, and I take great pains to be a good commissioner for it. So people love it.
M16.
Yes, sir.
Real quickly, which one's worse? Fantasy footballers or vegans? I'm telling you how passionate they are about their respective. Go ahead.
It's definitely vegans.
Oh no! It's the fantasy football guy by far. By far.
No.
Don't add me on that.
Hold on, time out. I'm about to go on my little tangent. The only reason he bashes fantasy football is because he played one season and nobody wanted to trade with him. I said it. There it is. If he would play with me, he would have a bunch of people that are interactive, that want to trade, that want to do.
You want to know what my favorite line about fantasy football is? Fantasy football is for people who suck at fantasy and football.
Oh wow. Well, let the record show I was good at football. So
don't get this guy started on that one. But like I said again, I just know that this is not the last time that we're going to speak. I'm sure we're going to be mashing it up plenty over the next week, weeks, months, and as y'all continue to grow your podcast. And also want to let y'all know, if y'all didn't know, and put it to the people that are going to watch on YouTube, that the radio show, we're available on audio as well. So we're on every podcast provider known to man. So whether it's Apple, Spotify, Deezer, we're on Amazon. We're even on a couple of podcast providers out in India as well.
Shout out to
Ghana. All right. So
Ghana.
That's my neighboring country. I'm from Nigeria.
We got a couple of listeners out there too.
Even though he's not talking about the country.
No, it's a podcast app called Ghana that we're on too. That's out in India too. But we're all over the place. So I don't know if you guys have been on audio yet, but you'll be making your audio debuts because this will be on all the streaming platforms on audio and video as well.
Sweet.
So that'll be out there. We'll be releasing that. So like I said, again, I just can't thank you guys enough for the time. This was a great conversation. We probably could go on and on and on and on and on, but everybody got to get back to their Saturday and hang out and do what they're doing. But definitely look forward to speaking to you guys again in the future. Check them out, ZZ Talk. Search them out on YouTube. ZZ Talk features Zeus and Zino. If you're watching on YouTube, Zino is the one in the red Falcons jersey. Zeus is the one who's pissing me off with the gray Falcons on. And they're 1-5. I just want to remind you they're 1-5.
For now.
For now.
Yeah.
But we definitely, like I said, again, appreciate y'all. And we look forward to the next conversation that we'll have again. And, you know, we just look forward to speaking to y'all, man. And hearing what y'all gonna do in the future.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.